Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Bad Batch breakdown. Today we're discussing Season 3 Episode 9 The Harbinger. What an episode! The return of Asajj Ventress, which we've all been patiently waiting for since the Season 3 trailer dropped, and there is a lot to unpack and break down. It was a very fast-paced episode, it literally just flew by. Asajj disappeared as quickly as she arrived, but there are a lot of implications for what we learned today. And just before we dive into it my dear friends, if you're new to the channel or if you've not done so, please be sure to hit that big red subscribe button down below, and also hit the bell to be alerted every time that I post a new video. But no more jibber jabber, let's begin. In an episode that was so heavily focused on Omega and Ventress, and we're going to talk about these in just a moment, Crosshair received a lot more development than you would expect. He's being more sociable, firmly defending his brothers, and finally becoming a true father figure to Omega. Each of them brings their own unique paternal dynamic, and now to see Crosshair grow, in spite of his past, and become something of a protector to his sister, is really sweet. So at the start of the episode, Hunter is pressingly worried they've not heard back from Fennec Shand. She promised them intel, and Crosshair urges him not to wait. But in this case, it doesn't look like they have much choice, because thanks to Fennec contacting her, Asajj Ventress has already arrived on Pabu, and located the Batch. So during a bit of recreational time, Batcher senses something in a cavern nearby. Omega promises that she's going to go and investigate, and lo and behold, everyone's favourite Night Sister and former assassin has finally arrived, in the flesh, in the present day, alive and well, after her supposed death in Dark Disciple. I've got a feeling this wasn't her final appearance, and I'm hoping the series shows us how she survived the blow from Dooku when saving Quinlan Vos, and then how she was resurrected after being buried on Dathomir. The series creators have promised they're abiding by the novel, so I'm gonna hold out judgment until they answer this question if they do. But based on this episode, she was resurrected, and even if they decide not to answer this, we know Disney Lucasfilm prioritizes the on-screen content compared to the books. And here she is, and if you never read the Dark Disciple novel, her return doesn't seem as law-breaking. Nonetheless, there is some kind of allusion to it. At the end of the episode, Asajj says she has a few lives left, so perhaps she considers herself very lucky to still be alive. And to be honest my dear friends, while I do want a full explanation and maybe a few flashbacks, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the full extent of them explaining it. So now let's get to the juicy stuff. At 2 points in the episode, she brings up how the Batch is failing spectacularly at laying low. This is foreshadowing in my opinion them not taking Asajj's advice, and the Empire showing up on Pabu on their doorstep, which we know from the trailer is coming soon. She then asks the Batch why they're asking about M counts, and why doing so is a very reckless thing to do, considering the Empire is hunting down Force sensitives. And herein lies the big mystery of the episode. Does Omega have the Force? We know her DNA is a good vessel to hold a high M count, but does this mean that she has a high M count in and of herself? The episode really puts this idea in our heads, and after Omega pleads for answers, Asajj tells them that midichlorians are in the blood. Everyone has them, but at varying levels, and those with a high M count are believed to be more capable at wielding the Force. This confounds the Batch, and they're reminded of the days of the Jedi, the Republic, and the Clone Wars. Omega gets really excited, and is in disbelief at the possibility of being a Jedi herself. Asajj corrects her, and says, of course not. Your blood isn't what makes you a Jedi. Training is what's important. I was instantly reminded of the Sabine Wren debacle in Season 1 of Ahsoka. This is now the second series in a row that puts emphasis on George Lucas's midichlorian idea from The Phantom Menace. Very appropriate, considering this is the 25th anniversary of Episode 1. Now while Asajj says that she's never known a clone to be Force sensitive, the members of the Batch are anything but typical, so she says it's a possibility. And while we're on the subject, this episode confirms a significant detail which fans have been debating for years. How many clones did the Kaminoans make? Was it millions, hundreds of thousands, billions? Well, Asajj mentions millions of you. A small throwaway, but I'm already seeing Clone Wars fans over the moon and beaming over this small detail being mentioned. Asajj tells Omega she can't tell her midichlorian levels without testing her first, and since Omega is begging to know, Ventress complies and gives her 3 tests. But as we find out at the end, not everything is as it seems. There's so much more to it, we'll get to all of that in just a moment. I'm gonna keep it a $1.50 with you guys. I didn't expect in a million years a Force-focused concentration test for Omega, letting go of her conscious mind. and after she fails the first time, Asajj insists that she try again. That's when her brothers are watching on. We see Wrecker cheering for his sister, but Asajj doesn't like this. She wants them to make themselves scarce, no distractions, and this concept of the brothers being a distraction and an obstacle for Omega is going to become a big theme, and this, in my opinion, just a prediction, is going to set the stage for a big dilemma. As Asajj tells them at the end, if Omega were to be trained under her wing, she'd have to leave her brothers, and it's not their choice to make. I believe this path, this option, this choice, is one that Omega is going to have to make herself. It reminds me of Grogu's choice in the Book of Boba Fett, and that's why ultimately before she departs, Asajj lies to Omega, tells her based on what she's seen, she doesn't think she has a high M count, but Crosshair and Hunter know that she's just playing coy. There's more to this. The only reason she said no is because she sees the attachment Omega has to her brothers. Only she can choose that path. And because this episode sets up the dynamic between Asajj and Omega, I think that's the path Omega's going to go down, as Asajj's apprentice. And that is going to set up the show that comes after this one. Remember, Asajj's voice actress said, this is just an appetizer for more Asajj to come. Now the episode did a great job of making allusions to what came before. Crosshair finds Tech's datapad, and the entry in the Republic archives of who Asajj Ventress is, who she was once working for, but as has been a theme throughout the show's 3-season run, realizing that both sides of the war were being played and puppeted has put an end to certain rivalries. Asajj is now a lone wolf. Crosshair doesn't trust her because he can't work out which side she's on, but she tells them she is not their enemy. There is no more separatist Republic rivalry, that duopoly is gone. The new empire is now here and it's more dangerous than they can fathom. And she says something very profound. There was no winner. Everyone lost the war. She was once Dooku's apprentice. She had something of a redemption in Dark Disciple, and now she's back from the dead. A separatist no longer. Those days are gone. So after failing the first test, Ventress sends Omega to find a white blossom at the top of a weeping Maya tree. She sends her so that she can be alone with the other members of the batch. They have a pretty badass brawl, which amounts to hand-to-hand combat, and this was, without a doubt, one of my favourite moments of the episode. It ends with her besting Hunter, Wrecker and Crosshair, and she tells them, I'm not your enemy. That very night, back at the Marauder, the group discusses how they can't trust Asajj, but Omega, as always seeing the good in others, tells them to give her a chance, and brings up the fact she gave Crosshair a chance, and always believed in him when he was at his worst. So the next morning, she goes out to the pier to find Asajj, a big smile on her face. Asajj finds Omega to be a very unique clone, confused by her optimism. Her final test is reaching out to nature using the Force, which she can't do. Well, at least not yet. She's not trained. So during a moment that is reminiscent of Luke's frustration in The Empire Strikes Back, just like Master Yoda, Ventress shows Omega how it's done. We see the summoning of the fish, but the current has attracted a large turtle-like monster. Eventually, Asajj uses a Force ability we've seen before with Ezra, Grogu, even Anakin, Animal Bond, also known as Beast Control. At the end of the episode, before Asajj departs, the batch are waiting to hear the verdict, and as I say, Asajj lied and told Omega she doesn't have the potential to wield the Force from what she's seen. But I think we know it's coming. She tells her no, but they're teasing a decision Omega is going to have to make. Many were hoping Omega's journey didn't take the Force route, but if we're being honest, there were hints dating back to the first season. This was a really spectacular episode. It was amazing to see and hear Asajj once more, and now fans are wondering, is next week's episode, or should I say episodes, more about Omega's decision than those of the clones, identity crisis, choosing either a Force path or staying with her brothers, and point of no return, maybe her making that decision, but it might also allude to the Empire coming to Pabu. Let's wait and see. I had a lot of fun in this episode. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and if you want to support what I do while getting tons of videos not found here on YouTube, please consider becoming a patron. The link is down below. But until tomorrow, my dear friends, may the Force be with you, always.